What is FDI? Foreign direct investment, or FDI, refers to investments made by a foreign company into productive assets in another country, such as factories, offices, or businesses. Unlike portfolio investment, which involves buying shares, FDI gives the investor a level of control over operations. It is usually driven by long-term profit goals and is considered an important source of development finance for developing countries. Moving on to economic theory of FDI. According to economic theory, FDI benefits the host country by bringing in capital, technology, and expertise. Multinational corporations play a key role because they introduce advanced knowledge and management practices. Their presence increases competition, which pushes local firms to improve and innovate. Additionally, spillover effects occur through demonstration of best practices, movement of skilled workers, and linkages between foreign and domestic firms. This contribute to overall economic growth and global integration. Now, one of the key benefits of FDI is technological spillovers, where local firms gain knowledge and improvements from foreign firms. These spillovers are classified into two types, which is horizontal and vertical. However, the extent of these benefits depends on the ability of local firms to absorb new knowledge and the competitiveness of the market. Studies show mixed results, meaning that while some countries benefit greatly, others experience limited effects. Now, what really is the difference between horizontal versus vertical spillovers? Well, horizontal spillovers occur within the same industry. For example, local firms may imitate the technologies and practices of multinational companies, and competition encourages innovation. On the other hand, vertical spillovers occur between different industries. Backward linkages happen when multinational companies source materials from local suppliers, while forward linkages occur when local firms use the products or services of foreign companies. These interactions help domestic firms become part of global production networks and expand their market opportunities.
So, for my topic today is 4 types of FDI. So, why do companies invest in other countries? So, first is resource seeking. So, ito naman is they want natural resources like oil, minerals, or cheap labor. So, the second naman is import substituting. So, dito naman, they build factories in a country to sell locally instead of shipping from far away. So, third is export platform. So, they use one country as a base to make goods and sell to nearby countries. So, fourth naman is rationalize. So, they put different parts of production in different countries to save money. So, dito naman sa key features of the investment climate. So, the first is access to finance and international integration. So, access to finance, businesses needs loan or bank to grow. If a country has a good banks and financial systems, companies can borrow money to expand. Without this, only rich companies can grow. So, sa global integration naman, countries like Philippines, China, and Brazil grew faster in the 1990s. So, because they open up to trade and foreign investment, being connected to the world helps the economy speed up. So, sa second naman is governance. So, dito na yung mga rules and corruption. So, when government rules are too complicated, businesses waste time and money. So, corruption scares away from investors. Research shows the more corruption means less foreign investment. So sometimes too many unnecessary rules don't help society. They only create more corruption. So third naman is infrastructure. So dito na yung mga roads, power, internet. So investors love good transportation, roads, ports or airports, reliable electricity, clean water, and fast internet. So they also like having local suppliers, research centers, and business service nearby. So, yun.
So now, let's proceed to performance requirements. So according to the book, performance requirements are established by the BOI for investors who are granted incentives and are usually based on the approved project proposal. So basically, performance requirements refers to rules set by government, usually for businesses or foreign investors about what they must do when operating in a country. So next is the protection of property rights or intellectual property. This means protecting a person's ideas, inventions, or creations so others cannot steal or copy them without permission. So basically, we have different types of intellectual property. First, we have the copyright. Ito na yung mga original creative works na hindi dapat siyang ginagaya. Second one, patent. This protects inventions or new discoveries. Third one, we have the trademark. This protects brand names, logos, and symbols used in businesses. Trademark law. This law that protects brand names, logos, and symbols used by businesses to identify their products or services. For IP code or intellectual property code, the IP code is a law in the Philippines. It is Republic Act number 8293 that protects all types of intellectual property. In short, it is the main law that protects all intellectual property rights in the country.
Hello, this is Faiza B. Matanog and I'll be discussing the Philippine Stock Exchange or PSE. So, membership in the PSE is open to foreign-controlled stock brokerages that are incorporated under the Philippine law. So, however, despite its growth, the Philippine stock market is still smaller compared to its neighboring countries. So, the investments in publicly listed companies are subject to foreign ownership limits set by the Constitution and other laws. So currently, there are fewer than 260 listed firms, and a small number of top companies account for a large portion of market activity. So to improve the market, the PSE introduced reforms such as free float requirements and regular reviews of listed companies. So firms are also required to maintain at least 10% public ownership to promote transparency and fair pricing. So those hostile takeovers are uncommon due to concentrated ownership among companies. So the Securities Regulation Code strengthens the investors' protection by requiring full disclosure, stricter trading rules, and penalty for violations. So while the PSE continues to improve through reforms, challenges in enforcement and market size still remain. As of 2012, the five largest banks controlled nearly half of the country's banking resources, showing a highly concentrated system. The central bank has strengthened the industry by improving capital, governance, and risk management. Banks are financially stable with a capital adequacy ratio of 18.4%, which is higher than both local and international standards. Reforms after the Asian financial crisis also helped make the banking sector more resilient. Now, let's talk about the accounting standards in the Philippines. These standards are important because they ensure that financial reports are accurate, transparent, and reliable. In 2005, the Philippines adopted the Philippine Financial Reporting Standards, which are based on international standards. This helps align the country with global accounting practices. Later in 2010, the country also adopted standards for small and medium enterprises, making reporting more suitable for smaller businesses. The security anti-money laundering, and information exchange. The Philippines continue to strengthen its fights against money laundering under the monitoring of the Financial Action Task Force. Financial institutions must follow strict regulations set by the central bank. The country improved its global standing by moving for the dark gray to gray list after passing key laws against terrorist financing. Efforts are ongoing to address remaining issues, will improve the tax transparency, led the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development to upgrade the Philippines status. Outward investments refers to investments made by Philippine residents in foreign countries. In general, There are no strict restrictions on this investment. However, if a resident wants to purchase foreign exchange exceeding 60 million US dollars per year, they must first get approval from the central bank. Qualified investors such as mutual funds and insurance companies may request higher limits. Also, banks need prior approval before investing in foreign subsidiaries or affiliates. Any earnings or proceeds from these investments are not required to be converted back into Philippine pesos. Outward investments are most likely allowed but still regulated to ensure proper monitoring. Now, let's talk about the competition from state-owned enterprises. In the Philippines, private and government-owned businesses generally compete equally, although there are some exceptions. For example, the government once controlled rice importation through the National Food Authority, but over time, most of this responsibility was transferred to the private sector. However, in some areas, the government still plays a major role. For instance, certain insurance services for government projects are handled mainly by a state-owned provider. The government may also control prices of basic goods during emergencies such as typhoons. The government manages privatization programs and allows both local and foreign investors to participate with efforts to keep the process transparent. While competition is mostly fair, the government still intervenes in key sectors to protect public interest.
The political context refers to how government action, laws, and policies influence businesses operations, meaning businesses do not operate independently but are shaped by the legal environment around them. Basically, this means na kahit gaano ka okay yung business, affected pa rin siya by the government. So, first is enabling laws provide the legal foundation that allows businesses to exist and function properly. So, parang without this, hindi ka talaga makaka-operate legally. So, another aspect is privatization, where control of certain industries is transferred from the government to private companies, usually to make operations more efficient. So, parang public, nagiging private na siya. Additionally, insolvency regimes are legal system that handle situation where businesses cannot pay their debts. Meaning, hindi lang basta nagsasara yung company but may proseso pa na sinusunod. The consequence of insolvency may include liquidation or restructuring depending on whether the business can still recover. So overall, the main point here is that any change in government policies or laws will directly affect how businesses operate, grow, or even survive.